Welcome to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette, with your host Steve Garrett, MC and DJ at one of the largest Corvette weekends in the country, Corvette Fun Fest, president of the Corvette Club of Kansas City, Missouri, and radio disc jockey at the #1 radio station in Kansas City for over 40 years. Here's Steve Garrett.
Thanks for listening to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette. Brought to you by Mid-America Motorworks. Car show season is here. Get your Corvette ready by shopping over 60,000 Corvette-specific parts and accessories at mamotorworks.com. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. I appreciate you tuning in. You can listen to Corvette Today on all podcast platforms. You can also listen on your smart device. Just say Alexa or Hey Google, play the podcast called Corvette Today, and you're connected. Also, visit the Corvette Today website. It's CorvetteTodayPodcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you visit the Corvette Today merchandise store. You can also sign up for Corvette Today emails, notifications, and updates at CorvetteToday.ck.page. And don't forget, join the Corvette Today Facebook group. We have over 3,500 members, and I'd love to have you as a member as well. And check out the YouTube channel for Corvette Today. Now see your favorite episode on video, now on YouTube. First, I'd like to thank our flagship sponsors of Corvette Today, Aerolarri Wheels, a true forged wheel with over 20 unique design styles to choose from for your C8 and wide-body versions of the C7, C6, and C5 Corvette. It's an absurd value starting at only $19.88 for a set of 4 fully forged wheels. And now use the new promo code CT111, that's CT111, and get $100 off your purchase. Visit aerolarri.com, that's AEROLARRI.com, with the new promo code CT111 for your $100 discount. Also, midenginecorvetteforum.com, the forum that focuses on the new mid-engine C8 Corvette. Meet a lot of fellow Corvette enthusiasts like yourself at midenginecorvetteforum.com. Also, a shout out to CanadianCorvetteForum.com, welcoming Corvette owners from around the world. It's time to get the latest Corvette news and headlines with Keith Cornett from CorvetteBlogger.com. As you know, Keith is here twice per month, every other week, to keep you up to date on what's happening with America's sports car. Keith, good to have you back. How's everything going?
Everything is fantastic, Steve. Glad to be here and looking forward to another great week of doing Corvette news and all the stuff that comes along with it. So much going on right now. Pricing, we've got racing, all the fun stuff as well. So I'm ready to go if you are.
I'm ready to go, my friend. Let's dive right into it. As we always do in Corvette news in section number 1, let's get an update on Corvette production. Plus, we're back to making cars as of last week.
Exactly, yeah. So we did a 1-week shutdown due to a parts-related reason, and now we were back last week. Production was kind of mixed. We had a couple low days, but they were open for the most of the part for the week, and that was all good news. We've been talking about the cars reaching the 20,000 VINs for the 2022s, and we actually just did hit that on last Wednesday. Looking at the schedule, we've only got a few more weeks to go, really, before May 9th and the expected start of the 2023s. So I kind of played with some of the numbers there, and I think we're going to end up probably around 24,000 Corvettes for the 2022 model year. Could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more, depending on production supplies and stuff like that. But that fits right in. We did 26,000 in 21, and we did 20,003 in 2020. So with production, if we hit about 24,000 for the year, that's over 70,000 Corvettes on the road over the first 3 years of production. That's a really strong number. Obviously, demand is a lot higher. Chevy could sell double that amount if they could produce them. Luckily, though, they're moving along, and it looks like we'll have some Z06 news also coming up here shortly, hopefully. That's where we are right now.
That sounds good. 24,000 is a good number indeed, Keith. And speaking of 2023 Corvettes, we have official pricing now out for the 2023s, don't we?
Exactly, yeah. The pricing came out. We see the trim packages raised by $1,050. So your starting price for the 1LT Coupe now is the $63,195, and the 1LT convertible will now start at $70,745. It's actually a lower price increase than what we expected, and it's lower than the cost of inflation. So technically, the Corvettes are cheaper because of that reason. You think about that number, that'll kind of make your head swirl a little bit. But there's a lot of good news out there. We've got the black NPP exhaust tips. Those are new for 2023. Those are offered for $200. We got new 20-spoke wheels. There's 2 different versions offered, plus the third one for the 70th anniversary. But those are a nice addition to the Corvette Stingray lineup. And then, of course, the big news for 2023 was the 70th anniversary package. Chevy will be starting pricing on that at $5,995, but it does require 3LT trim. I think that's a pretty fair number for that package. I think it's in line with what we saw previously as well. You're getting exclusive colors for the car as opposed to sharing colors previously. So the 70th anniversary should be pretty nice. And then the last thing I'll mention is that stealth aluminum interior, the BAZ option. That's going to go for $595, and it does require the 2LT and the 3LT as well. We did have some existing options receive price increases. The biggest one was the carbon flash high wings were raised $100 to $1,350, and then some accessories went up by like $10 or $15. So nothing really big news there. Again, I think the price increase was less than what most of us expected. I think it bodes well for those people ordering 2023s going forward.
Absolutely. And think about it, Keith, $63,000 and $70,000 for a world-class supercar with that kind of performance. I've seen pickup trucks that are more expensive than that.
In cars and vehicles pricing, look back at some of the cars I bought back in the day, and it's just like, I can't believe how expensive they are. But then also you see classic Corvette prices. When I first got into this business, my 66 was worth $25,000, $30,000 in the 90s, and now they're $50,000 and $60,000 for the base model. So everything's going up. That's all good. But for Corvette owners, they want to be able to get these cars and drive them, and it's exciting stuff when new options come out. And of course, we're expecting more at the bash, so there's going to be more news coming out, I'm sure. These are always fun times for me, at least, because we get all the new stuff. I want to say it's Christmas in April, but it's what it feels like.
Absolutely right, buddy. I've always said it's a good time to be a Corvette enthusiast, that's for sure.
Yep.
Also, Mobil 1 has rebranded their 0W40 oil as Mobil 1 Supercar. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, so right now the factory fill for Corvettes is the 0W40, and it's an ESP formula, and it's branded ESP. I think it's got like a green label on it. It's just a name change just to make it easier to find. It's a yellow label. It says Supercar on it. It's the same formula, but Mobil 1 says the name change reflects the true spirit of its performance pedigree. The 0W40 Supercar is recommended for all C7 and C8 Corvette Stingrays. When the Z06 starts production, they're going to get the 5W50 Supercar. And again, that's factory filled into the 670 horsepower LT6. That news was bigger than I thought it would be. A lot of people pay attention to that.
Yeah.
I actually saw it picked up by Camaro owners as well, because it is the supercar oil that you would use in like your LT4 Camaro. As far as classic Corvettes, like my small block 66, I continue to use Mobil 1's 5W30 in that. Cool stuff from Mobil 1. We'll be watching to see what else they've got coming in the near future.
Also, Keith, coming up at the end of this month is the National Corvette Museum's Michelin Bash, and I was really sad to see that the curator for the National Corvette Museum, Derek Moore, has resigned.
Yeah, Derek's been there for a good number of years now, 5 or 6 years. He is leaving to join the Lane Auto Museum, which I believe is south of Nashville. That museum's got like 500 cars in the collection. It's very eclectic, too. A lot of European cars. He's going to be joining that museum as a curator. In the press release, he says he wanted to actually spend some more time with his family. He's got 2 young kids now that they've adopted, so it's a neat story for him. Derek's just done an amazing job in both organizing and prioritizing the Corvette Museum's collection, just going through all the different artifacts and then applying standards that should be applied with collectors and collections and things like that. He's going to be missed, but luckily he's only an hour away, and hopefully we'll see him at the different functions as he comes up. And like many people that have moved on from the Corvette hobby and other positions, they still retain some of that Corvette blood in them, and they come back, and it's great to see him. Hopefully we'll see him at the bash. We wish Derek all the best.
I second that motion, buddy, because Derek is a great person. Love Derek. He's been a great contributor to the Corvette Today podcast. We wish him all the best in his future endeavors.
Absolutely.
Also, U.S. News and World Report has called the 2022 Corvette the best luxury sports car. Yeah.
Yeah, not only that, it took that crown. It edged out 2 Porsches that came in the Boxster.
Wow.
As well as the Audi at the bottom of that list. At the bottom of the top of the list was the Porsche 911. The website praised the Corvette for its value proposition, lightning quick acceleration, precise handling, comfortable and well-trimmed interior, and intuitive tech features. That was a nice scorecard there from U.S. News and World Report.
Oh, that was awesome. Also, ISeeCars says that Corvette is on the list of new vehicles that are selling over MSRP. Duh.
Exactly, yeah. But we showed up in position number 11 of that top 20.
Yeah.
The Corvette Stingray is selling for 19.3% over MSRP, which equates to about $15,200. Number 1 on that list was the Jeep Wrangler, which is selling for 26.7% over MSRP. So percentage-wise, the Wrangler is number 1, but dollar-wise, the Corvette had the highest number at the 15.2 as the highest over MSRP. Again, it's just the demand for the car is outstripping supply, and you've got people that are willing to pay just about anything to get one. That's why we're seeing that, and I think that bodes well. Again, we'll see the Corvette on the best-selling cars of the month list moving forward just because of demand cannot keep up with supply.
That's right. It's crazy times when buying a new car, that's for sure. Well, Keith, let's take our first break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Corvette racing and Corvette rumors here on Corvette Today.
The Radiator Grill Store offers protection for your C8's front radiators and side intakes. They also carry front strut tower covers to prevent rusting and pooling water, all with do-it-yourself installation. Get 10% off your total purchase with promo code CT10. See the full line of products at radiatorgrillstore.com.
Mid-America Motorworks has been the industry leader and aftermarket supplier and manufacturer of Corvette replacement parts and accessories since 1974. We have what you need for all years and generations of Corvette. Whether you need a door panel or seat cover for your C1 Corvette, or the latest shirt, jacket, hat, or lifestyle accessory to complement your new C8, you can get it at Mid-America Motorworks. So if you're restoring, repairing, replacing, or simply researching your Corvette, Mid-America Motorworks is the place to go. Visit our website at mamotorworks.com and shop Corvettes by generation or specific year. Or call us Monday through Saturday toll-free at 800-500-1500 and talk to one of our Corvette experts to help you get the right part or accessory. Pursue your passion with Mid-America Motorworks.
VetteFinders.com is the Internet's original Corvette classified ads website, with classified ads starting at just $25, and every ad runs until your Corvette is sold. If you're in the market for a Corvette, VetteFinders.com has over 500 Corvettes for sale from all around the USA and Canada, and covering all 8 generations. Visit VetteFinders.com, the Internet's destination for buying and selling Corvettes. That's VETTE Finders.com.
You're listening to the Corvette Today podcast with Steve Garrett.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette. Brought to you by Mid-America Motorworks. Car show season is here. Get your Corvette ready by shopping over 60,000 Corvette-specific parts and accessories at mamotorworks.com. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. With me every other week is my buddy Keith Cornett from CorvetteBlogger.com. In this next section, we're going to talk about Corvette racing and Corvette rumors. First off, Keith, Jordan Taylor from Corvette Racing did another cool video, kind of a behind-the-scenes thing from Sebring.
It's great to have a driver's perspective from Sebring and the different races overall, and just to see all the stuff that goes on. They're just there to do their job, but they're just so connected to it, and so you get so much emotion from it, and it's great to see. I don't know who Jordan's got filming his stuff now, but his YouTube channel, that video had some of the best racing footage I've seen anywhere. Slow-mos, great coverage from different corners. Definitely worth the time to watch that. I would definitely go check that out. And then, of course, the podium celebration is the time they blow off all that steam, launch champagne on each other. So that was fun to watch as well. If you're not watching Jordan Taylor's videos, they really do offer a lot of insight. For the most part, his YouTube channel has just been devoted to racing. If you're not into all the other goofy stuff that he sometimes does, you're going to find a home there. So I would definitely catch up and watch that.
Absolutely right. The Corvette Today podcast channel and the Jordan Taylor channel on YouTube are both outstanding. It's a great way to keep up to date on what's going on with Corvette racing and Corvette in general. Also, Mobile One, The Grid, did a recap of Sebring as well, didn't they?
Yeah, we're getting all the different recaps now that we've been out of the race for a couple weeks. Actually, what we're seeing here with the Mobile One, they show both the WEC, which we scored position 2, the P2 finish in WEC with the GTLM class, and the C8R there, the number 64, driven by Tommy Milner and Nick Tandy. So we got great coverage of that race from Mobile One The Grid. And then they go into the IMSA recap with Jordan Taylor, Nicky Katzberg, and Antonio Garcia. What a great race that was. It was sort of unexpected, I think, how well we did there. We ended up leading almost 300 laps during the race, kind of walked away at the end there. Great coverage from our friends at Mobile One The Grid again. It's always a fun channel to watch as well.
Definitely. I like Mobile One The Grid. That's a great YouTube channel. And speaking of Sebring, it was nice to see the Corvette team did a Q&A about the new Z06 chassis coming out.
It was one of these. You could see the hearing was a little challenged. The front straight of Sebring was basically 75 yards behind us. So the challenge of trying to film and record that was a little challenging, but we did get it. It was interesting. Josh Holder, Harlan Charles, and structural engineer Ed Moss were there. The Corvette was first designed as a convertible. And then because they know it's going to be even stiffer when you put a roof on it. In fact, this one, the C8 Corvette, is the stiffest structure ever offered. The other thing, too, with these displays, before we never were able to see the C8R's racing engine. They actually have a display model of that now, and you can see that it really looks very similar to the LT6 that's going to be in the Z06. They're obviously very similar in terms of they shared parts together. They were developed together. They called them the Gemini twins, which is part of the whole moonshot thing that Chevy was talking about. It's neat to see that stuff now that the LT6 is out. We can get a better look at the Corvette racing engine. Finally, they are saying again, summer availability for the Z06. So I think we're going to see that car probably start production maybe July, could be August, and then the first cars maybe August or September to customers. So there was some news there. We do have both videos of the Corvette team, one from the Corvette corral tent and then one from the Chevrolet display. Both of them have nuggets of information. So if you're interested in hearing directly from the Corvette team, we urge you to go look those up.
I'm glad you brought up the thing about the engine and the chassis, Keith, because I'll give our listeners and viewers on YouTube a little preview. Coming up at the end of this month, last week of April, I've got Jordan Lee, who is the global chief engineer for small block engines, along with his assistant, Dustin Gardner. And again, Dustin is the assistant chief engineer for small block engines for General Motors. Both will be on the Corvette Today podcast together at the end of this month. It's one thing to read about these deep dives into these engines. It's another thing to hear the guys who designed and developed the engine talk about the engine. You can really hear their passion and excitement about the engine coming through. So watch for that the last week of April here on Corvette Today.
Yeah, that's definitely one we'll be looking forward to.
Thanks. Also, Lime Rock Park is going to celebrate 70 years of Corvette with a display of concept cars. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, this is going to be planned for Labor Day weekend. It's the 70th anniversary of Corvette's what they're celebrating. Lime Rock itself is only 65 years old, so they're kind of celebrating their own anniversary there. But they're going to be hosting 12 of what they call the most significant Corvette concept cars. I think the big headline there is the 59 Corvette Stingray Racer will be there.
Ooh.
This is a car that's normally on display inside the GM Heritage Center. So if you've never seen the Stingray Racer before, it's just a fantastic car. It was the car that sort of gave them the way to get from the C1 into the C2. Peter Brock did a lot of work on that. And then that car was actually raced for a while. That's why it picked up the Racer moniker. So absolutely, if you can get out to Lime Rock and see the 59 Corvette Stingray Racer, your day will be set.
I'd love to do that. Also, Barrett Jackson is going to sell the first retail C8 Z06 hardtop convertible at their auction in Palm Beach. Boy, I'd love to see what that goes for.
Yeah, that's exciting. This is the first retail version. The only caveat is that it's offered in 3LZ, so the new owner now can pick the colors, they can pick the seats, the interior, the wheels. They can really outfit it the way they want it to. The first coupe, which was sold to Rick Hendrick for $3.6 million in January, that was designated a 70th anniversary model. So not too much customization could go on there because the model's pretty much set. But here, the convertible, whoever buys that can do whatever they want with it. We're going to be following that auction. I know there's other people out there other than Rick Hendrick that want the car. It's always interesting to see who wants it the most, though.
Boy, that price will be jacked up really high then. That'll be interesting. Well, buddy, let's take our final break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the lighter side of Corvette here on Corvette Today.
Are you ready for a better insurance policy without the Corvette tax? With Agreed Value Protection, the value of your collector vehicle will never change. Plus, you'll save money. Get a quick quote at ncminsurance.com.
Hey, honey, are you awake?
I am now.
I can't sleep. Since turning 50, I keep dreaming of a red door and a blue door, somehow knowing there are only choices for retirement.
Okay.
Through the red door, we outlive our money. We have to rely on our kids. We're stuck on a fixed income. It's terrifying.
Yeah, that would suck.
But through the blue door, our money outlives us. We retire on our terms. Our kids stay our kids, not our caretakers. We make work optional.
Yes, that's much better. That's what what I want too. But what do we do?
We call True Wealth & Company at 913-653-8783. They specialize in helping successful people make work optional. They're our fiduciary Blue Door personal wealth managers.
Hey, where are you going? It's 3 a.m.
I can't sleep. I'm going to check out True Wealth & Company online at retirewithtrue.com. That Blue Door is going to be our retirement.
913-653-8783. Visit us online at retirewithtrue.com. Investment advice offered through True Wealth & Company, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Kansas.
American Hydrocarbon is your one-stop shop for custom interior, exterior, and engine bay items for your C4 through C8 Corvette. We can help you create a custom look for your Corvette with carbon fiber or 10 different color patterns and styles. Whether it's a custom-made engine cover for your new C8 mid-engine Corvette or custom-made C4 interior upgrades, American Hydrocarbon can help you transform your Corvette into a best-in-class show car. And now we're proud to announce that we can produce and distribute officially licensed GM products for the C8 Corvette. That includes the front splitter, side skirts, engine appearance panels, and engine fluid caps. Plus, we now also carry the C8 Speedline side skirts along with the engine appearance package and high wing. Our products have been featured in Vette and Corvette magazines. Give us a call, 813-476-5638. Visit our updated website at AmericanHydrocarbon.com or email us at pat@AmericanHydrocarbon.com. Let us help you make your Corvette the car you've always wanted it to be. American Hydrocarbon.
Stretch the life of your Corvette's paint with Nova Stretch, the performance protective cover. From bugs to rock chips, Nova Stretch covers protect your C5 through C8 Corvette, utilizing stretch fabric technology and an innovative fastening system for quick installation and easy removal and storage. Made in the USA for a tailored fit, the patented design and breathable mesh protects your Corvette without rubbing or chafing the paint like traditional covers. And unlike clear film or old-time car bras, Nova Stretch provides full front-end coverage including the grille, keeping radiators and heat exchangers clean and debris-free. Visit novastretch.com and use the code CORVETTE15 to get 15% off your order. Protect your Corvette with Nova Stretch.
And now, back to Corvette Today with your host and my husband, Steve Garrett.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette. Brought to you by Mid-America Motorworks. Car show season is here. Get your Corvette ready by shopping over 60,000 Corvette-specific parts and accessories at mamotorworks.com. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. With me every week is my pal, Keith Cornett from CorvetteBlogger.com. Don't forget, if you want a deeper dive into any of these stories that we talk about, you can always go to CorvetteBlogger.com. In this final section, we're going to talk about the lighter side of Corvette, and we've got a Corvette Today follow-up. Remember when we talked about a guy in Kansas that bought a 59 Corvette, a C1, but he might have to put it in the crusher because of issues with the VIN tag? Well, we've got some good news on that, don't we, Keith?
We do, and this is a great follow-up story. And again, it illustrates the power of the internet to get people, and especially lawmakers, to make changes. This is a crazy case. So just to recap, the guy's name, Rich Martinez, he bought a restored 1959 Corvette from an Indiana dealer. Nothing bad the Indiana dealer did. During this restoration of the car, the VIN plate off of the chassis was removed. Chassis was restored, the frame was restored, and then the VIN plate was reattached, but it was reattached with different rivets. So when you buy a car out of state in Kansas, you have to go show it to the Kansas Highway Patrol, and they'll do an inspection of it. And they said because the rivets didn't match the car, the law says that this car is now contraband and was ordered destroyed, despite Rich Martinez being labeled an innocent owner who didn't do anything wrong. Once the story blew up and the lawmakers found out about it, they went to work and they rewrote the law so that it doesn't affect these cars that are brought out of state. In Indiana, you could do that, no problem. They changed the law there. It took 6 years to do this. There is some bad news, though. During the 6 years his car was stored in various Kansas government facilities, the car was damaged, and then somewhat significantly, they estimate about $28,000 in damage to it. There's a couple pictures of it from the news report that we picked up on. Shows like the paint cracking and chipped. It looks like some impacts on the car. So, yeah, they didn't do a very good job of protecting it while this was all going through the court cases and stuff. But he says he's hosting a party. He's getting his car back, and it's all good news for him. Good news for everybody that paid attention to the story, and for those that commented and shared it. You guys get part of the success of helping Kansas change this law. So great job, everybody. That's a good story, and I love the follow-up.
Absolutely, and it's a great conclusion to this story, and I'm glad that Rich is going to be able to keep his car. Also, the National Corvette Museum's Motorsports Park is kind of hosting events as a cleanup from December's tornadoes, right?
Yeah, they've got a full slate of track events going on throughout the year. In fact, they're pretty well booked up again. They've got a temporary shelter that allows them to host track functions. They do their drivers' meetings. They've got the store. They've got other administrative functions that have to happen there. So they've got a place they're working. There's still some major cleanup going on. The Holiday Control Tower was significantly damaged. I don't know if they're actually going to have to tear that down or tear down a lot of it and then rebuild there. So they're still doing a whole lot of cleanup there as they're continuing. And then the other good news with the NCM Motorsports Park is that the Corvette experience at the track is starting up again on April 8th. And that's when you pay money and then you get 3 classroom sessions, you get 3 on-track sessions in the new C8 Corvette. Very fun. If you're actually looking to buy a car and you want to find out a little bit more about it, find out how it feels and how to drive, Corvette experience is a great way to do that at the NCM Motorsports Park.
It's a great introduction to a supercar and a mid-engine car, that's for sure. Also, we had an Australian review of the right-hand drive C8 Corvette.
We're starting to get reviews out now. This one came from Bruce Newton of carsales.com.au. He asked at the beginning, has it been worth the wait? And he says, damn right it has. And let me tell you why. The biggest drawback of this car in Australia is obviously the price, where it starts at 160,000 Australian dollars. Very expensive, but these guys are crazy for it. My opinion is that they need some more cars down there. I think the first rounds was only like 200 or 300 cars. We really want to see this be a world car. We'll see it on display and people driving it on different continents. So very happy that Corvette enthusiasts down in Australia, New Zealand are getting these cars. There's another one out as well that just came out. Glad to see the Corvette being the world car that it deserves to be.
Definitely. Also, we had a nice review from Top Gear, didn't we?
Yeah, the Top Gear has changed so much since Clarkston and the other guys had left. Really, I only prefer the driving sequences myself because everything else is just really that opinion, but you can see the car drive. Top Gear did this review back in December, I think. We've actually shared a couple of videos since then. This is just the driving sequence. It's driven by Freddie Flintoff, one of the hosts, and he actually owns a Camaro, so he gets the whole V8 movement and big cars and American sound of cars. He just has a great time driving this C8. It's a little rainy, but the Top Gear track is on that airport runway. He's just thrashing the car around. All good stuff. Loves the car. The downside, he said again, was the price. The pound is actually better than the dollar in terms of the comparison. So while it starts at 63 here, it might only be 45,000 pounds of Great Britain pounds. They're selling the car for 75 there, so it is definitely a price increase. But he says it's worth it in every way. So good stuff from Top Gear again. I just like watching the driving sequences because those don't lie.
Absolutely right. And finally, Keith, Chevrolet has gifted a brand new Silverado to the Texas teen whose tornado video went viral. That was a really crazy video.
It was a crazy video. And if you haven't seen it, it was a 16-year-old kid, Riley Leon, was on his way home from a job interview at Whataburger. And somebody driving with a dash cam, I believe, captured a tornado actually moving across the highway just as Riley's 2004 Silverado came into view. It spun him around. It knocked the truck on the side, spun the truck around, and then flipped it back on its wheels. And miraculously, Riley drove away from the accident. It was funny because for a while, we only had the video. It was a mystery. We didn't know anything about the driver until he came forward. People were making memes out of it. One of the biggest ones was somebody threw the Like a Rock song from Bob Seger on it, the old Chevy tagline.
Right.
So they gifted him a new car. Chevrolet and then Bruce Lowry Chevrolet in Fort Worth, Texas, decided that all this publicity and promotion was definitely worth it. So they gave him a new Silverado and $15,000. And they also donated $50,000 to tornado efforts and cleanups there in Fort Worth area. Congratulations, Riley. He said he just had a little scrape on his arm, but for the most part, he was fine. And his 2004 Silverado came through it like a rock.
That's amazing. That's fantastic to hear. Well, Keith, thanks for being back on Corvette Today. And again, if you want to do a deeper dive on any of these stories that Keith and I covered in the podcast or the YouTube video, make sure to check out CorvetteBlogger.com. Buddy, thanks for being here. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Steve. Absolutely. And everybody out there, you can see Corvettes. Keep waving.
Thanks for listening to Corvette Today, and please be sure to tell your family, friends, and other Corvette enthusiasts about the Corvette Today podcast. And also thanks to our sponsors, Mid-America Motorworks. Car show season is here. Get your Corvette ready by shopping over 60,000 Corvette-specific parts and accessories at mamotorworks.com. American Hydrocarbon at AmericanHydrocarbon.com. True Wealth and Company at RetireWithTrue.com. Also, Aerolarri Wheels. Get $100 off your purchase with the new promo code CT111 at Aerolarri.com. Also, Novastretch Bras. Use the code Corvette Today 15 and get 15% off your total purchase at Novastretch.com.
You've been listening to Corvette Today with Steve Garrett. If you'd like to contact Steve with any thoughts on the podcast or ideas for guests on Corvette Today, you can email him at stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. That's stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. Garrett has 2 R's and 2 T's. Or connect with Steve on social media on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram using @SteveGarrettDJ. Thanks again for listening to Corvette Today.